Alan Shearer has criticised football's authorities over the game's dementia crisis. 15 years after a coroner ruled heading a ball led to former England star Jeff Astle's death, the FA and PFA have only just agreed to fund research into the issue. Alan Shearer was tested at Stirling University for the effects of heading, and Shearer said, "I'm delighted research is happening, but it should have happened years and years ago. That's why the families of those suffering are angry. They've been a lone voice and nobody has been listening to them. There is no doubt that the issue has been swept under the carpet." Sunsport columnist Shearer has been investigating the matter for a BBC documentary, which airs on Sunday. Alan Shearer admits he is worried about the long-time effects on himself. Alan Shearer looks at test results at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, and he also believes the FA and PFA have neglected their duty of care for former footballers, including 1966 World Cup winner Nobby Stiles, who has Alzheimer's and lives in a care home. He added, "Football must look after old players who are suffering with dementia, put an end to the sense that once you are done playing, you can be put on the scrap heap." Top dogs Arsene Wenger, Sir Alex Ferguson, Roy Hodgson, every Premier League club's best ever manager revealed, and there's no room for Jose Mourinho at Manchester United or Chelsea. "I was nervous when Doc said if there's anything wrong with your brain, well, have to tell you." Alan Shearer was on a plane to America when he began wondering what he and other former footballers might have suffered by playing the game they love. The Newcastle and England legend was watching the in-flight film Concussion, Will Smith's biopic about a doctor who studied brain damage in the NFL. And it was then that he grew determined to shine the spotlight on a subject he believes his sport has swept under the carpet. The result is Alan Shearer Dementia, Football and Me, and it will make uneasy viewing for the powers that be this Sunday. Shearer, 47, told Sunsport the main reason for doing this program was to make sure the authorities could no longer run away from this issue. Dr. Willie Stewart chats with Alan Shearer during the BBC documentary. Alan Shearer is tested in the MRI scanner at Queen Elizabeth University Hospital. "That is what I believe they have done for the past 15 years. There is no doubt it has been swept under the carpet." The link between dementia and football first came to the public's attention in 2002 after the death of former England and West Brom star Jeff Astle at the age of 59. An inquest ruled Astle died from industrial disease, or brain trauma caused by repeatedly heading footballs. Yet, 15 years later, the FA and PFA are no closer to knowing the impact heading a ball has on the brain, and only this year have they finally committed to research. Goals of the weekend: watch the finest strikes from Saturday and Sunday's Premier League games. Shearer said when Fabrice Muamba collapsed on the pitch at Tottenham, "Within 6 months every football club had a defibrillator and every player is now sent for checks on their heart, and rightly so." But when Jeff Astle died in 2002, a coroner ruled his death was because of football. Now we are in 2017, 15 years later, and nothing has been done, which is pretty terrible. If the authorities had looked into the issue back then, they might actually have found there isn't a direct link to heading. But nobody has looked into it yet, so we do not know. It could be a game changer if they find something. A coroner ruled 15 years ago that the death of former England striker Jeff Astle was related to heading footballs. Shearer, who scored 46 of his 260 Premier League goals with his head, has had worries about his own long-term health. The documentary films him having an MRI scan. And the former England captain said, "My family are always telling me how terrible my memory is. I don't know whether it is, or maybe it's just because I don't listen, but I was concerned. Just before I went in for the MRI, doctors said to me, you do realize if we do find anything wrong in this brain scan, we are going to have to tell you. I was thinking to myself, I'm not sure I actually want to know if there is something right or wrong. I was very nervous and apprehensive." The program features powerful scientific evidence, including when Shearer undergoes tests to show the instant impact heading the ball has on the brain. It also looks at the differences between a modern football and the old-style leather ball, finding the latter used to almost double in weight when wet, making it more dangerous. But the most moving scenes come when he meets dementia sufferers and their families. Jeff Astle picked up 5 caps and was a legend in his 10 years at West Brom. Lorraine Astle, the widow of Jeff Astle, waves to WBA fans 2 years ago. These include Astle's daughter Dawn, a leading campaigner, and John Stiles, whose 1966 World Cup winning dad Nobby now lives in a care home after being diagnosed with Alzheimer's 15 years ago. Shearer also visits sufferer Matt Tees, a former Scottish striker best known for his time at Grimsby. His most emotional encounter though is with Chris Nicholl, his first manager at Southampton. Shearer admitted that was difficult because he was the man who gave me my big break, my debut at 17. Then Newcastle star Alan Shearer is taken off for treatment after a clash of heads with Villa midfielder Gareth Barry in April 2003. He taught me so much when it came to heading. He would be in the gym at Southampton chucking balls in the air for me to constantly head. But he lives on his own now and forgets where he lives. It was very hard to see how he is and how Matty's is. Hearing how angry Dawn Astle and John Styles are, to see how they have suffered and struggled over the years, was very difficult. Alan Shearer mocks Jose Mourinho, joking he could not get the best manager ever, Sir Alex Ferguson. Alan Shearer heads past Austin Ekwavon of Nigeria in 1994. Before I spoke with Dawn, I was aware of the Jeff Astle situation. But it was only afterwards that I realized Dawn and her family have been through sheer hell. I can see why football is reluctant to change its rules on heading. But there is also the question of the duty of care. Players who really aren't that old are going into care homes to die. Football must look after old players with dementia and put an end to this sense that once you are done with playing, you can be put on the scrap heap. Alan Shearer dives to head the winner for England in a Euro 2000 group game against Germany. The hour-long documentary goes on to show Shearer grill PFA Chief Executive Gordon Taylor and the FA's Head of Medicine Dr. Charlotte Cowie. After increasing pressure, the FA and PFA announced in March they would jointly commission a study into the long-term effects of head injuries in football. They invited researchers to submit proposals to answer the question of whether degenerative brain disease is more common in footballers, the chosen project being announced soon. Shearer added, "There is enough money in football, just not enough of it has been given to research." Football legend Alan Shearer proves HES still got the skills with immense volley goal on family holiday. "I was told it will cost about £500,000 to get the research done. Some players earn that a week now, so, in the grand scheme of things, it is not a lot of money. I'm delighted it is happening now, but, let's be honest, it should have happened years and years ago. That's why the families of those suffering are angry. They've been a lone voice and nobody has been listening to them. Hopefully my voice on this program will help ensure that in 10 or 15 years' time they might have more answers." Alan Shearer Football, Dementia and Me is on BBC One this Sunday at 10:30 p.m. Keep up to date with all the transfer news and gossip on our blog.